Hello, I'm Pam Hoffman, Everyday Spacer.
I'm Jeff Miller, 2049 Outfitters.
At Everyday Spacer, we show regular folks how to personally and directly participate in space exploration, science, and astronomy. We're here on Friday nights at 9 p.m. Pacific Time, 12 midnight Eastern Time, and 12 noon on Saturday in Hong Kong. We're broadcasting live from Thousand Oaks, California. Thanks to our friend Dawn for the recommendation for tonight.
And
hey Cliff. Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. So, tonight Pam will be doing a profile on Yvonne Brill. We'll be back in 8.3 seconds. Have you ever wanted to be a rocket scientist? You might be surprised at the possibilities. Yvonne Brill was an aspiring engineer who encountered some hurdles on her way to becoming a rocket scientist.
Hey, Scott, welcome back. Scott. We missed you.
Yeah. The local college wouldn't allow her to study engineering, so she took math and chemistry instead. She found work after college, yet she wanted something more hands-on. She had also advocated for women in science. Pam, can you flesh out Yvonne Brill's story for us?
We're getting there. This is actually an exciting story because Miss Brill's invention is still the industry standard.
And you can pretty much guess from things about like college wouldn't let her take engineering, the time period we're talking about. So
yeah. All right, so let me go ahead and share my screen because I have set up a bunch of links about Ms. Brill. She was actually Canadian with like Belgian background. Her parents came from Belgium to Canada, but she also was a like Canadian American. So I think she came here. I don't know if she got an actual citizenship, but seems likely. Yeah.
Hey, Daniel.
Daniel, welcome. Nice to see you again. We missed you too. So she invented this electrothermal hydrazine thruster. Sometimes it's called a Resistojet, and we've got a link for that too. I'll show you in a minute. But it is a fuel-efficient rocket thruster that keeps the satellites in orbit, especially geosynchronous orbiting satellites. They kind of have to stay in a particular place in orbit because they are locked to a spot over the Earth. In fact, this thruster made them 30% more efficient, which is quite something. So she was born in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Canada. I actually have a friend in Winnipeg. And like I said, her parents were from Belgium, but she was inspired by Amelia Earhart in that school that she was involved with. And her father did encourage her to open a shop, but she was much more interested in engineering, less theoretical, more practical kinds of things, except that they wouldn't let her go to school for engineering. But she did kind of ignore her folks too, who were saying, "Oh, you should be, do something women do." Yeah, no, she was much more interested in other things. So she was the first in her family to go to college, graduating from the University of Manitoba in 1945. At the top of her class with a bachelor's degree in both chemistry and mathematics, a two degree person. She originally applied to their engineering program at 18, but was denied because she was a young woman. Sad, but true. She did actually overcome a lot of this and went on to study, Harris says, the University of Southern California, so that's actually out our way. She took night classes and graduated 51 with a master's degree in chemistry. I think this served her very well, though, for what she eventually did go on to do involving rockets. Math, chemistry, they both had a really good place in this work, I think.
And that's pretty much engineering right there. Chemical engineering.
Yeah, so, like I said, she was interested in more of the practical side of things, where her degrees gave her more theory, but she did work in the field in a more practical capacity. And she wasn't actually an engineer by degree, but she did get, and we'll see that.
But she had an engineer's mindset.
Yes, and we'll see that a little bit later on, that she did, in fact, get some, I think it's an award for that. So she did meet this person, William Brill, and basically they got married. And when there's a cute little video, I'll show it. Actually, I'm going to show the whole thing because it's very short. But she made a comment about husbands and jobs, and so we'll see that.
Well, the interesting thing is that he was a chemist at RAND, which was a big think tank back then. And it doesn't exist now, I don't think, but
it was the RAND Corporation does.
Oh, okay, but it
may have morphed. It may have morphed.
Yeah, it was a really big deal back then. I mean, that was top of the line scientist zone.
So she did actually follow him where his work took her. And even when she had her children, she kept doing consulting part-time jobs. All right, so I really love that she was in all kinds of different places. Douglas Aircraft. She worked for NASA, RCA, Astro Electronics. That one's no longer around, I think. But yeah, she really had a hand in a lot of different places, doing a lot of different things that were, I would say, very important. Rocket propellants, rocket engines, ramjets. She worked on all kinds of stuff. Her invention became a standard in the industry and has translated into millions of dollars of increased revenue for commercial communications satellite owners. And they mentioned these: RCA, GE, Lockheed Martin, Orbital Sciences have all used these. EHT. Let me go back up and name that again because it's very interesting. Electrothermal Hydrazine Thruster. And the main idea is that instead of impelling this through the rocket, and they're basically not like a rocket engine per se, but they help to adjust things so it's like a thruster. Instead of just sending this through, they heat it up. They heat up that fuel and basically gets them 30% more, which means they can reduce the amount of fuel they carry. And it's a very, very big factor on a rocket that, and I don't know other numbers, but when I worked at Boeing, if we could pull 100 pounds off of the rocket itself, we could add 1 more pound of payload. So that's the kind of ratios we're talking about. So it's a big deal.
And if a satellite had a fuel tank on it that let it station keep for 3 years, a 30% increase means that it could stay up there for about 4 years.
Yeah, they generally talk about it as reducing the amount of fuel to get the same effect.
Right, but
yeah, you're right.
That's the amount of time.
Right, they could do it that way, but what I've been seeing in here is they're talking about reducing the amount of fuel and its weight and its space, and but the heaters do take up a little bit of room. All right, so yeah, she worked all kinds of neat places, and I definitely think if you have any interest at all in this rocket science aspect, take a look. Take a look at what she did, where she went. There's some really, really good stuff here, and I have a few tabs I'll show you. So yeah, these companies, although I just read this one's not around anymore. Orbital Sciences was, and for the amount of things they put into the water, not that surprised. And she worked on some pretty cool satellites. Tyros, Nova, the shuttle was in there. So she was really involved with a lot of aspects of rocketry. So her awards and honors, she was NASA's she got NASA's Distinguished Public Service Medal, highest honor NASA award to non-government employees who demonstrate a level of excellence that has made a profound impact on NASA mission success. Yeah, big time. AIAA, Wild Propulsion, American Association of Engineering, Harper's Bazaar De Beers, it's got a Diamond Superwoman Award. On and on. Barack Obama presented her with the National Medal of Technology and Innovation. Yeah, Daniel.
Daniel says, Boeing Starliner should have used Yvonne's design instead of hydrogen and nitrogen peroxide and helium.
Tetroxide.
Okay. Corrosion and overheating problems galore.
Got it.
The thing is that her design is efficient, not necessarily powerful. It's good for small bursts or even long bursts.
Like again, thrusters to keep a geosynchronous orbiting satellite in position, which
Mhm.
is actually pretty important for a geo.
Yeah.
And I see Cliff's.
Yeah. Cliff said every gram in weight adds up. Yeah.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. And a couple more nice awards here too. She did unfortunately die at age 88, complications of breast cancer, and her obituary was pretty exciting too because they made a big deal about her beef stroganoff and being a mom and following her husband from job to job, whereas her, contributions were much more interesting, involved with rocket science. So there was a bit of a frou-frou about that. And she worked even when she was raising her kids. I think about the first 8 years of child rearing, she kind of was staying home more, doing part-time consulting work. But then she actually got back to work full-time. So let's see what else we got here for her. She's really an interesting character, I think. Oh, and this is a cool link too. I have it at the very end here. I just think it's a great list, and I suppose we could pull from that for future profiles. Yes, her legacy has forever impacted the present and future of rocket science, as her research and contributions to rocket propulsion systems, as well as her invention of the Electrothermal Hydrazine Thruster, have and will continue to help us learn and understand more about the final frontier. So here we have a little bit about this Resistojet rocket, and nowhere in this whole article, and it's not real long, do they mention Yvonne Brill, which I think is very sad. But it did have a place with these Vela satellites. I have a feeling that these thrusters were around her big contribution, before she got involved with it. Her big contribution was the heating of the fuel to make it more efficient. And I mean, 30%, that's a huge, huge difference. I mean, I could see them being very happy with even smaller numbers, but 30%, that's a big deal. So yeah, they have advantages, disadvantages. I do have another thing about, which I think is even more a simpler explanation for this, and I'm gonna actually read that one too. But let's go ahead and move on because she shows up in the Canadian Encyclopedia, and we do see some of the same information. But I think there's a couple things in here that I thought were really good too. Let me see if I can find them. Yeah, we talked about that.
No, here are some good photos.
Neat picture. Yeah, I have a few of these. So it talks about her awards, that kind of thing. Yeah, but let's see, where is it? I think there's something else in here that I thought was really interesting. Of course, great article to read. I would definitely recommend it. Yeah, we talked about a lot of this.
Why don't you
well, there's that video, and I do have it up on a separate tab. I'll play that in a minute. Yeah, what were you going to say?
When I'm doing the ephemeris after this, why don't you put some of these links in the comments?
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, even when she moved, she found places to help and work for people and do interesting things. I love this too. She completed a project on her own time. She completed a project she'd been working on for years on her own time. So this wasn't just a job for her. This was a true passion. Definitely. And I think if she had been allowed to become an engineer at the school, it could have even been a lot more interesting. Yeah, she finished her career with NASA, oversaw the Space Shuttle Solid Rocket program. I don't think they really mentioned that in the other article, but yeah, she held lots of different positions too, National Research Councils, yeah, different things. She was definitely an advocate for other women because I know what it was in here. Let's see if we can find it, because she was like one of the only women involved with rocketry in the 40s. And her comment is, they couldn't possibly be prejudiced against one single person. So pretty interesting. Is it here? Oh, where is it? It's somewhere in here. Oh, yes. There's the obituary. The beef stroganoff. Snafu. And a picture of her and Obama. I got a nice big one somewhere else, too. All right, so let's go ahead and I'm going to run this video because I think it's fascinating and it is very short. Go ahead and bigify the. Thank you. Here we go.
All right, lift off and the clock is started.
I tell them that I'm an aerospace engineer and my specialty is spacecraft propulsion systems and launch vehicles, and they always look shocked.
It's no shock to Yvonne Brill that for more than 60 years, she has been in what she calls the rocket business.
I would have preferred engineering, but the dean at the University of Manitoba really wouldn't let women in engineering. So I got a degree in science. The Douglas job came through first. So I took the one-way ticket without knowing a soul there, and it was a good choice.
Once in California, Brill was charged with finding a lightweight rocket fuel to launch unmanned satellites as part of Project RAND.
But very shortly afterwards, the Berlin Wall and the Cold War with Russia started. So the focus then turned to missiles.
Next, Brill worked on ramjet igniters. Then, her decision to marry would shape her life and her career.
All of his opportunities were on the East Coast, and all of mine were on the West Coast. But in thinking about it, my decision was that good jobs are easier to find than good husbands. So I married him and moved east.
In the 60s, Brill evaluated propulsion systems for theoretical communication satellites. She concluded that this type of satellite would need rocket engines with 2 thrust levels, one to get to the desired orbit and one to maintain position.
Nobody was using hydrazine on a spacecraft yet. Just using the monopropellant really simplified things.
Her Electrothermal Hydrazine Thruster is now standard in the industry.
In engineering, you get to build things and you see the results of your work. Nothing was more gratifying to me to be at a control center when the satellite finally got on orbit, safely and with all payloads functioning.
So she does appear in the National Inventors Hall of Fame. A lot of this information is the same. There's the patent number that she holds for this electrothermal hydrazine Resistojet. And birth and death, inducted in 2010. Yeah, good stuff. And I think we've already seen most of that. I got some really good pictures of her. I think she was just a neat lady and made a big difference and has left a legacy that's amazing. Now this thing here, I don't think this is the actual one because see, we have RF generators. It's not that. And I have, like I said, I have another article.
So this is probably just a more modern version of what she created.
Yeah, I think it's a good example of how this might work in general terms. But I do want to talk about this book too. Headstrong, 52 Women Who Changed Science and the World. Now, this is an ebook that you can get, but what we have here in front of us is a synopsis of, see, it's a preview, the total page displays will be limited. So I love because this was the the beef stroganoff inspired this author, Rachel Swaby, to write this book. So I think this is a nice list too. We could potentially find some other profiles and interesting people to talk about in some future episode. We'll see what happens. But yeah, this book about scientists began with beef stroganoff. What a great start. According to the New York Times, Yvonne Brill made a mean one. In an obituary published in March 2013, Brill was honored with the title of World's Best Mom because she followed her husband from job to job and took 8 years off from work to raise 3 children. Only after a loud public outcry did the Times amend the article so it would begin with a contribution that earned Brill a featured spot in the paper of record in the first place? She was a brilliant rocket scientist. Oh, right, that. Yeah.
And this was in 2013. I mean, it's not like this is 1950.
No. I love some more of this, too. I'll just read a little bit. In 1964, when Dorothy Crowfoot Hodgson won the greatest award that chemistry has to offer, a newspaper declared Nobel Prize for British wife, as if she had stumbled upon the complex structures of biochemical substances while matching her husband's socks. I think this would be a brilliant read. There's a lot of interesting names in here, and someday I would love to get that book. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and I did find this one article. It's by Megan Gagnon, so that might be why, who did in fact talk about her accomplishments instead of her beef stroganoff. So yeah, this is a pretty nice article from space.com. And it has a great picture of her winning her award with President Obama. And talks about that. She was a brilliant rocket scientist. I'm going to get rid of these. That keeps the satellites in orbit. All right. They talk about her contributions. Yep, Tiro, Mars Observer. She died in Princeton. Born in Canada, but died in the United States. Grew up in a suburb of Winnipeg. Yep. Interesting stuff. Yeah, I just love that this one, in fact, does talk about her accomplishments.
Yeah, Cliff.
Yeah, really good video,
yeah.
huh? All right, so she truly represented the best of what American aerospace engineering and system development should be, a pioneer spirit coupled to a clear vision of what the future of an entire area of systems should be, with the ingenuity and genius necessary to make that vision a reality.
That was from Mike Griffin.
Mike Griffin, right. Well, I think it says president of the AIAA, but he was also the NASA admin, right?
Yep.
All right, so let's see.
Lots of ads.
Yes, there are. She spoke about the challenges she faced as one of the first women in a male-dominated field. In an interview, she recalled the reservation summit RCA had before she was hired as a propulsion engineer. I love this next part. I always remember there was a very old line person, typical stodgy old line person in charge of personnel. And his argument was, how could a woman with 3 children ever get to work on time, Brill said. Years later, he apologized to me and said I really had worked out very well. Kind of funny. So there's a nice picture of her with President Obama receiving her award. I didn't realize there was an article here. I thought it was just a picture. Let's see if there's anything else cool in here we should know.
Oh, okay, Scott says, what she did with satellite advancement has improved all of our technology, especially Starlink and GPS. Yep.
Agreed.
Yep. And
boy,
what a great woman rocket scientist. Yeah.
Absolutely. And thank you, Dawn, for suggesting her. That was perfectly timed. Beautiful, beautiful offer. All right, so I think it's a lot of the same sort of stuff, but
some actual rocket
pictures. Good pictures of the ones she worked on, Nova.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so I didn't realize there was an article there. Sorry about that. But I do like this one here, introducing Resistojet thruster technology. Now, these people, Benchmark Space Systems, have adapted it somewhat. Now, I'll mention that, but I think what's really interesting here is the explanation. And of course, you can talk about them, but you can read about them. But what is Resistojet thruster technology? A Resistojet is a type of electrothermal propulsion, which means we're heating up a propellant with an electric heater. By increasing the temperature of the working fluid, you increase the amount of energy that is able to convert into useful thrust. In practice, that additional energy manifests as higher specific impulse. Now, specific impulse, well, they say fuel efficiency. I liken it to a miles per gallon because I think a lot of people know miles per gallon involved with their cars. So if your car is running well, everything's working, you get more miles per gallon from it, right? So this is the same sort of thing. They heated up this fluid to get more miles per gallon per se, but they call it specific impulse. All right. So then they talk about what they did. And because it's been this throughput, it only heated up this fuel for a certain amount of time. What they did was they put a spin to it. And actually, they got that up higher even. And I don't know if that's 40% on top of what Yvonne was able to do, or that means 40% in total compared to a normal.
From the way I read it, it sounded like they got an additional 40%.
Additional 40%. That's really quite amazing.
Because they compared it to the cylindrical one, which is what she worked on.
And here's an image of that. See, you've got kind of a straight through. And this one, they've made it into this helix. So it's in this heated up environment longer, and they give it more efficiency.
And it mixes it. So instead of having just a heated up outside and a cold center, it mixes it so that it's all not quite as hot as the outside of the other one. But
yep, and that's evident in the thermal.
Yeah, if you just look at the colors.
Yeah, exactly. All right, so that's a pretty neat article too, I would say. I did put a link to Rocket Science in the description for the YouTube channel. I want to just mention this really quick timeline of women in space, and this covers just ancient history up to current times. And there's a lot of really, really interesting people in here. A lot of names we do not know, and I think we should. So maybe you'll see more about them at some future time.
Yep.
Let's see, where are we? I think we're down here.
Okay, some stellar events this week. July 19th through July 26th. July 19th, the moon runs low. I think I've run that joke into the ground. So doesn't mean I won't keep using it, but not tonight. July 20th, the anniversary of Apollo 11th moon landing. I mean, hey, gotta point out that one.
Well, and it used to be called Space Week, but they kind of moved it because kids were out of school and they wanted October, so they could talk about it when the kids were in school. But I still think of it as Space Week. This is when they launched and landed on the moon and came back safely.
Okay, July 21st is the full buck moon. And Pluto and the moon are in conjunction. Unless you've got a really big telescope, not a big event. July 22nd, Mercury is at its greatest western elongation, 27 degrees east of the sun. And look for Mercury at sunset about 27 degrees above the horizon. And Daniel,
I did not know that.
Internal combustion engines from Chrysler used swirl port cylinder heads to increase combustion efficiency too.
Fascinating.
Yeah, not a new concept, but they applied it. July 23rd, Pluto is at opposition. July 24th, the moon is at perigee. And Saturn and the moon are in conjunction. Saturn is 0.4 degrees south of the moon. Also, Mercury is 1.7 degrees south of Regulus. July 25th, the moon is on the equator. And Neptune and the moon are in conjunction. Neptune is 0.6 degrees south of the moon. And occultation is visible from northwest North America. Telescopes are required to see Neptune. Now, what's weird is that they didn't say that there was an occultation of Was it Mercury up there?
But Mercury is Regulus, wasn't it?
No, next one up. Okay. Yeah, Saturn and the moon. Saturn is 0.4 degrees south of the moon. You'd think that it would be occulted, maybe not in North America, because the guys who make the list are in North America.
It might be not even on the Earth. There could be an occultation
that misses us. Yeah. Cliff, the Hemi.
The Hemi, is that what that is?
Yep.
I did not know that's what that was about.
Is
that, where are you? Are you here?
Yep.
You're here. Okay.
Yeah. July 26th, moon is at ascending node, and it's the beginning of another Globe at Night project. The project runs for 10 days from July 26th through August 4th. Look for Hercules or Cygnus in the northern hemisphere, or Scorpius in the southern hemisphere. You look at the sky, take a photo, report it on the app or website. July And they use that for determining dark skies and mapping out the dark skies. So
Yeah, apparently it's very important.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to participate, it's a nice, easy way to do so.
Yeah, just look for Globe at Night.
Globe at Night.
July 26th is our Friday night show.
You decided what you're doing?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
We're going to be doing a citizen science project.
Okay. Excellent.
And so find us Fridays at 9 p.m. Pacific time on the Everyday Spacer Facebook page and the Everyday Spacer YouTube channel.
What inspires you for this coming week? And I'm going to go ahead and talk about a couple of events. And do you want to go ahead and share the...
Yeah, hang on a second. I just wanted to find what I'm
Sure.
doing. Okay. Oh, and...
Oh, we got another comment.
Daniel, apparently Boeing may not have accounted for the big humidity difference between low white sands and high McGregor, Texas, when testing the Starliner thrusters. Oh, interesting.
Humidity can be a thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you want to share?
Sure. Hang on. Let me.
So there are some other events and activities. I know I haven't done it for a while, but there have been some that accumulated. And this one is really happening fast. It's basically tomorrow and the next day. Astro Fest happening at the Orlando Science Center. So if you happen to be in Florida, you catch the show before then, you want to check this out. I don't know too much about it because I just found it today. But I did want to put it up at front because there's some other cool stuff. My Face in Space. You want to go to space with the Polaris Dawn crew? They are going to ask for a fee to support St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, and these folks have been doing that for a while now. So yeah, you can send your picture, add your face, join the mission, get it in writing.
Yeah, Daniel says, are you covering the big inbound triple CMEs we will get this weekend?
I hadn't heard about that.
Yeah, I hadn't heard about it either.
We'll have to look into it.
Mm-hmm.
Unless you know something, then you get to cover it. All right, so you can choose how you go to space. Remember, the proceeds go to St. Jude Children's Hospital. I love how they remember your money is going to, and I don't know how much of it, so you're going to have to find that out because I didn't see anything. You could be this big, huge group called the Collage, or you could be in the Grid, which is My Face in Space, but more of your face in space. I kind of find this fascinating. It's cool. It's basically a way to make this pay. So yeah.
You help St. Jude and you get to brag.
Yeah, I think it's a nice, easy way to get involved. And there's some. Yeah, here's a little bit more about it. What was I? Why did I have this? I think when you push the button, when you go to where is it here? Yeah, get My Face in Space. I think this is what you get. This is the page you get to. You can choose your layout and confirm your purchase.
Cliff says, oh, and a lot of Starlink sets are coming down because of failure of the last launch.
Oh, did not. I don't know what. Did not go high enough. All right, so I think it's kind of interesting. Polaris Dawn. There's more information about it. New Orleans, July 31st. That's coming soon. SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket will launch the Polaris Dawn mission from Florida. And they do have the crew. Let's see. I had a picture of them somewhere here. Because the one, here we go. Jared Isaacman probably is footing the bill for this, but he's picked some new people to go with: Scott Poteet, Sarah Gillis, and Menon. All right, so let's see what else is going on. Oh, I really like this place here, Space Calendar, and it's basically spacecalendar.com because they really have a lot of different events on and off the world all over the place. I mean, they talk about the space station in Tiangong and SpaceX and all kinds of different, like terrestrial, international, moon activities, space, and just a ton of stuff. And they've been around for a really, really long time. I remember when we got faxes from them because there was no internet. Mm-hmm. And they're based in Hawaii, and they just load up stuff. And I think I've shared this before, but it's been a while. And, well, let's see. Once upon a time, they went out to like hundreds of years. So maybe they go a little different now. Maybe it goes to another page. Oh, I have to look.
And Dawn says, I'm covering the Falcon mishap at Astra's.
Excellent.
Check for updates. Cool. So now we know where to see it.
Yeah, that didn't go anywhere.
Yeah. Oh, and Cliff said, I did see Aurora from here last time. Don't know.
That's
Didn't
not
know at
Aurora.
the time. Yeah, but that's what he was trying to write. Didn't know at the time till morning on the news.
I see. Okay. Stargazing at Joshua Tree, a dark sky experience. They've got, I think it's ongoing things. Trip, well, stargazing tour. But Joshua Tree is kind of out by us in California.
Mhm.
This
Used
was
to
kind
camp
of
there as a kid.
Oh, okay. This is kind of cool. This Astrophotography Foundations from this organization 10-6 Photography. I actually signed up for this. I have not read this, the 3 foundations to capturing the night sky, but I think it's kind of cool. And I do want to read it, especially made me think of it after our last episode with Bob Stuffrigan.
Oh, yeah. With his photos, yeah.
Planning and research, essential gear, execution, expert guidance, comprehensive resources, accessible learning, valuable tools. So I got it. And I think it's a trade your email for kind of, trade first name, last name, email. Yep, send it to me. So pretty easy. And this is 106photography.com. There's a lot of characters after that. I can grab them and add them.
Yeah.
Then I saw this one on Facebook, and I just love these ads because they look so cool. And then you go to a site, and it's a little less cool. It's kind of like, okay. But it is kind of an interesting concept. You can get a grant to, let's see, what is it for? I forget. I think it's getting seeds. Space Grant Consortium funding. Let's bigify this for all of us. Proud to partner with NASA, support prospective teams in funding their projects. If you and your team reside in one of the supported states, you can apply for space grant support from your respective state. For the fall 2024 season, the following states will be accepting. Yeah, you got another comment?
Yeah, just go ahead and finish up this one.
July 8th through August 11th. So if you're going to do this, go quick. This is plantthemoon.com. Like I said, I saw this ad on Facebook.
Looks pretty good.
Yeah. Yeah, it's gotta have something to do with plants, right? Seeds, plants, something.
Yeah.
Local sponsorship.
The image looked like seeds, like growing seeds in cups.
All right, so I think that's really it that I have for the additional activities.
Okay, and Cliff said, yeah, the night sky was reddish. Thought it was highway lights somehow. Oh, yeah.
But that wasn't the northern lights. That was the southern lights.
Yep. Yeah, and this far south, if we, in the northern hemisphere, if we see anything, it's usually just a white haze, and it's really hard to tell that from a haze.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to grab a couple things. I think you can find the Wikipedia page easily enough, but that's the video. That's a little less easy to find about Yvonne Brill. Canadian Encyclopedia. Because I just did a search for Yvonne, and I got a whole bunch of stuff. But let's make sure you get some that might not be as easy to find. What else do we want to share? Anything else you see here I should share? National Inventors?
Yeah. And that book.
Oh,
yeah.
10. Here we go. This one, 10-6 Photography. Right? Is that one up?
I was thinking of the one about Brill. Yvonne Brill.
What,
the one with all of the women, the 52.
Oh, that book. Yes. I just have to find it again. 52 Headstrong Women. Okay. Again, this is a synopsis of it, not the whole book, but they do give you a link to get the book. I think Dawn would like that.
Yeah.
A lot.
And just so you know that one from the 10-6 project in YouTube, the link split between two different
Yeah.
comments, so you'll have to paste them together in your browser. It's a really long link.
Yeah, and I can go in and.
Yeah, not a biggie. But they know how to copy paste.
You know how to copy paste? Yeah.
Okay.
It's a thing nowadays, right?
Yeah.
You're up.
So, if you or someone you know has done something interesting involving space exploration, science, or astronomy, we'd love to share our live. We're going to be doing a citizen science project next week. It will be Radio Galaxy Zoo, EMU. We've done a Radio Galaxy Zoo project, but this is a different one. It's currently at 0%. Let's see how it goes for next week.
And Daniel says AM. And Cliff goes, good show, guys. Glad you're not at war. Me too.
Yeah.
So you picked a project.
Yep.
Awesome. Oh, yep. Good night, Dawn.
Good night, Don.
Thank you so much for being here, Dawn and Cliff and Daniel and Scott. And I think we got them.
Mm-hmm.
Janie must be doing something.
Yep. Oh, Daniel has a comment. SpaceX targets July 22nd for a Falcon 9 launch of 20 Starlink satellites to low Earth orbit from Space Launch Complex 4 East at Vandenberg.
Oh, Slick 4.
Liftoff is targeted for 2:44. Well,
AM or PM? Oh, I guess that's what the AM was.
Yep. All these must have come through out of sequence, probably because this one's so long. So 2:44 a.m. Yeah, might not see that one.
Yeah.
So, good night. Good night, Cliff.
Good night, Cliff. Folks, have a really great week, and yeah, we'll be here again on Friday.
Yep.
Good night.
Good night.